Since 1973, at least 200 people who have been convicted and sentenced to the death penalty within the United States have eventually been extradited, meaning that they have been released based upon evidence and released from death row. This just goes to show how over 200 people were almost sentenced to death for crimes that they didn't commit. That's only the number of people who got to walk away with their lives, which is crazy when there are so many out there with over 1,500 plus people who have been executed who were actually wrongfully convicted. With estimates showing that over 5% of prisoners executed were wrongfully convicted and killed, according to deathpenaltyinfo.org. Firstly, the death penalty is irreversible, meaning that once a decision is made and the trigger is pulled, that there's no going back on the decision or the case. A study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences estimated that the justice system makes mistakes in that at least 6% of death row inmates are likely innocent, just going to show that our justice system does make mistakes, but that this is such a costly and important mistake that can't be made. And when we're talking about people's lives here, it's just something that can't happen. If new evidence is found that deems them innocent, that won't end up mattering for the defendants, as they will be killed and they've already been, executed. And this would be a big problem, as if new evidence comes up or they find somebody else who actually committed the crimes, it'll be too late and they will have already made the wrong decision. So abolishing the death penalty would alleviate that mistake. For example, take the Menendez brothers. They are about to be released and because of new evidence that has been found. Yet, they were almost sentenced to the death penalty, but luckily a few juries changed their mind and ended up giving them life in prison. Though, if they were killed and sentenced to death, with new evidence being found that's about to release them, that would have been a huge mistake, all because of the death penalty. Though, abolishing the death penalty would make it to where there was no chance for this mistake or any mistakes like it to be made for any prisoners or anybody who's convicted and sentenced. Additionally, the death penalty does not cause less crime rates or less crime in general. There has been no studies that show or prove that the death penalty has any effect on crime or changes how criminals perceive crime or has any impact on crime rates at all, according to studies done by deathpenaltyaction.org. So, that just goes to show how having such an extreme and unjust punishment for little to no effects makes no sense. 27 out of the 50 states still have the death penalty, yet these states have the same amount or more of crime committed in them as the ones who have the death penalty or that don't have the death penalty, which makes not much sense, and it goes to show that this is such an extreme and unjust punishment and there's no need for it anyways. Inmates will face the consequences in prisons anyways. Spending the rest of their life behind bars is already punishment enough. And if you don't see it that way, then that's okay, because most prisoners or criminals who are very bad and have done very bad things are likely to be punished and killed in prison anyways. For example, Jeffrey Dahmer, horrible person, murdered so many. He was put in prison and he was murdered there. He was murdered by inmates, not by the justice system. He was murdered by inmates because they saw his actions and what he did deemed to be enough to kill him. Just going to show how these inmates will be punished for their crimes and probably killed anyways in prison. So we don't have to do the executing and killing ourselves. And finally, the death penalty is unethical. Putting people to death and executing them makes us just as bad as the criminals and killers that commit these crimes. Taking the life of an innocent or wrongfully convicted person is not okay in any way and shouldn't even have the chance to happen, just because some guys who were guilty, were executed. Additionally, the death penalty punishes all parties. It punishes the family members and the friends of the person that's being executed. And that has no place, that these innocent and family members and friends of the defendant should be punished as well for crimes and actions that they had no place in. So, the solution to the problem would be to abolishing the death penalty within the United States entirely. This could be accomplished by advocating for the change in law. This could be done in many ways. Abolishing the death penalty means the end of wrongly convicted or sentenced people losing their lives, and it creates a chance for those who are sentenced to have the chance at a retrial or resentencing later in the future if new evidence is found or it is deemed just. This will make our country's justice system much more fair and humane. This would all be done with having little to no effect on crime rates, like I said, as the death penalty doesn't have any effect on that. Additionally, families and friends of the defendants wouldn't have to suffer as well. In the end, it would grant those who believe that they are falsely accused or convicted the chance at life again and the chance at freedom again if they have new evidence or have a retrial. Though, if they were killed, that wouldn't be the case. Action. There are many easy ways and steps we can take to get the death penalty abolished and to get the laws changed within the United States. We can spread the word on social media showing how the death penalty does so much more bad than it does good. We can advocate by signing petitions, voting, writing straight to Congress himself, and even just protesting to create change. It's as easy as sharing or liking posts about this death penalty and abolishing it on social media. It's as simple and easy as that. I think we're all directly related to it, and I think we should all really care about this. I believe that everybody deserves life. Maybe some people, such as murderers, should be stripped of it, but I would much rather them live and be punished in another way than to see an innocent person's life be taken away. Taking away an innocent or wrongfully convicted person's life is not okay in any circumstance, and a mistake like that should not even have the chance to be made. That's why the death penalty should be abolished.